Hello lovelies, Dr. Maria is here. Today we're gonna solve May June 24, paper 1, variant 1. First question is talking about igneous and sedimentary rocks, and they're asking us some examples of them. Examples of igneous rocks are like basalt and granite, and sedimentary rocks are like limestone, sandstone, and shale. Now, in the next question is talking about the formation of sedimentary rocks, and these are some keywords that you have to write in your answers. First of all, we have to say that weathering of rocks and erosion happens, okay? So the rocks are broken down into small fragments and pieces, and so they get eroded with air and like any other factors, any environmental factors, okay? What happens is that this point is not really important, okay? What happens is that they get layered, okay? So layers happen. And when more layers are accumulated over each other, compaction happens, okay? So the top layer is pushed downwards, okay? It becomes here. And this compaction causes, this compaction happens under heat and pressure, okay? And that takes over millions of years, or you can just say over a long time, okay? That's how sedimentary rocks are formed. So these are the keywords you should write in your answer, okay? That was the first question. Jumping on to the next. Whenever you see a photo, a picture, a graph, anything at all, okay, pause and take a look at what exactly you're seeing. So what we're seeing here is a drought or a desertificated land or dry land. You can see clearly the cracks over there, okay? You can also see small vegetations, okay? And you can also see a pipe, and this pipe is the trickle drip, okay? So this is what I gained from the picture. Let's take a look at the first question. It says, state the type of irrigation from the photograph. As I said, this is a trickle drip. Okay, next question is talking about 2 reasons why this is sustainable. When we're talking about sustainable means that we are using whatever we're using efficiently. Okay, so when we're talking about sustainability, we're saying that the water is given directly to the plant, so we're not gonna lose water, no loss or wastage of water, no evaporation of water, okay, because like it's directly supplied to the plant itself, so no evaporation, and any valid point would make. Take a look at the mark scheme, okay, because there are more points, but I didn't write them all. Third question, it says state the process that releases water from plant leaves. It's transpiration, okay? It's not right to say evaporation. That's not right, because we're specifying where is it, like where the water vapor coming from. So we have to say it's from the leaves. And this process, the water evaporation from leaves, is called transpiration, okay? So we have to specify that it's transpiration. That was it for question number 2. Question number 3, again, we got a picture. So we're gonna zoom in, pause, take a look at the picture without or before reading any question or anything at all. We see a ship. That ship is throwing oil on the water, or like on the water surface in the water, okay? And we also see a pipe. That's the oil well. And it's also releasing oil in the water. So the diagram shows oil spilling from an oil well into the ocean. State the method of dealing with oil spilled from the diagram. They want us, like already the deed is done, okay? The oil is there, and they want us to see how we're gonna deal with that oil. First things first, you have to like spray detergents, okay? And they're gonna make this large oil spills. These large oils, sorry guys, I had a long day. Anyways, this oil spill is gonna be broken down into small oil droplets, and that's gonna make it easy to be removed, okay? Second question is talking about other methods of dealing with oil spills on the ocean surface. Like the oil is there, they don't wanna remove it now but they want to stop their spread, okay? So booms and skimmers are used to stop the spread. Then it says that 3 impacts of oil pollution on marine organisms or marine ecosystems. They kill the marine organisms, okay? They also damage the birds' wings, okay? Because when they come to dive into the water to catch their prey, their wings get what's the terminology? I don't know the terminology, but it's like oil soaks their wings, okay? So this is gonna prevent them from flying, and they might, no, not they might, but they probably would die, okay? So they disrupt the food chain, and that also prevents sunlight from penetrating the surface. So any aquatic plants here or the phytoplankton, that the small tiny food for fish, they're gonna die, okay? Because they need to photosynthesize and they need sunlight to do this. So yeah, that was it for question number 3. Jumping on to question number 4. Okay, this is just explaining the process of photosynthesis, and that's what he's asking us to label. Take a look before even starting to annotate anything. Take a look at the graph or the picture and see exactly what you need to write. So saying first things, there's the sunlight, okay? And you see a product coming out. Okay, so this is a product. This could be anything, okay? If he did not mention that there was photosynthesis, I would have wrote transpiration, for instance, okay? Because also transpiration is a product. It's a water vapor that it's lost from leaves, okay? But since they're asking for photosynthesis, we're gonna write glucose. And another product here is oxygen, okay? This is your tip. You cannot write oxygen here. Why? Because this was your key. They got a person, something is leaving the person, which is carbon dioxide, because we respire, and that's our waste product, carbon dioxide. So the leaves take our waste product, which is carbon dioxide, and gives us oxygen. So the person is gonna inhale the oxygen, okay? They're gonna use the oxygen. That person's gonna use the oxygen. So this is your key, okay? Don't write glucose here, it's gonna be wrong, okay? And of course, we take, the plant takes water from the soil. State the green pigment from leaves. It's gonna be chlorophyll. Do not write chloroplast, because they specified, the question specified what exactly they're searching for. They're searching for the green pigment. The pigment itself, it's the chlorophyll, okay? Not the chloroplast. The chloroplast contain the chlorophyll, okay? And that chlorophyll, it's the green pigment. So you cannot say chloroplast. I'm warning you. Human takes in oxygen, okay? State the process that uses oxygen in living cells. Respiration. We use respiration. State what? No. We respire. We don't use respiration. We respire, okay? The process is respiration. State why trees are carbon sinks. They're carbon sinks because they absorb the carbon dioxide from the atmosphere, okay? And this is very important. In another question, they might ask you, they already asked it in one question before. They asked, why is it important to stop logging or stop deforestation? It's because trees take in carbon dioxide, they act as carbon sinks, okay? And they also photosynthesize, which gives us oxygen. So it kind of balances the gases, okay? And carbon dioxide is a greenhouse gas, so we don't want greenhouse gases, okay? Large amount from it will cause global warming. I'm trying to speed up because I need to revise the charts at the end, okay? Okay, next question. The bar chart shows the number of active volcanoes in some countries. What we're gonna do is that plot this table, and I'm gonna discuss the bar chart in the end. But the important thing you should do in this question is maintain the distance, okay, between the bars and the width of the bar. They should be exactly the same, okay? Next question is talking about volcanoes. And here they're asking volcanoes erupt when magma rises on the Earth's surface from the mantle. Explain how tectonic plate movement causes magma to rise on the Earth's surface. So we're going to explain volcanoes, okay? And you should know that earthquake happens during volcanic eruption, okay? So earthquake happens, and that's the signal people use that they might know volcanic eruption is gonna happen. It's not necessarily, that doesn't necessarily happen, but volcanic eruptions are associated with earthquakes. Okay, here they're not talking about a specific thing, okay? So you can talk about constructive plate, that they move apart. And to remember constructive plate, remember the term or key AC, okay? A stands for away, and C stands for constructive, okay? And destructive are two arrows that collide into each other. I like to remember it, two arrows kissing each other. That way you will never forget destructive, okay? Nor constructive, okay? So what happens in destructive? Subduction happens, okay? Subduction is when the plate boundary here bends over the other, okay? Or goes under the other, subduction. What will happen next? The rocks and the plates will melt, okay, due to the high temperature and pressure. Movements will cause convection currents. That's not really an important point. Magma, molten rocks, behave as liquid, and then they become lighter than the solid rock, where they rise up, and when they leave the volcano, okay, when they erupt and leave to the surface, they're cold. Here inside they're magma, but once they leave, they're called lava. Okay? Okay. Again, a picture, but this picture is not really important. So it's talking about volcano. This is a volcano. Okay. As you can see, there are eruptions. That's called plume, and they contain ashes and gases. So here, acid rain. This is a tip. Acid rain is caused from sulfur dioxide, okay? Sulfur dioxide causes acid rain, and also nitrogen oxides, okay? Volcanic eruptions, they're talking about different places. I don't know how to pronounce them, but we got Kilo, Stromboli, Gallerus, and Mount Helens. Whatever, I'm sorry if my pronunciation is wrong. I don't have the brains right now. Anyways, they're talking about the height of the plume and the volume of the material of that plume, okay? You have to take a look at the table. Man got more, okay? That's the highest. And the highest in everything, in height and volume, okay? And this kilo or whatever, it's the least. Okay. A student concludes that Mount Helens eruption has greater impact on the atmosphere. Use the data to suggest the student's conclusion is right. MSH stands for Mount Street, I think. Helens, okay. MSH is higher, has the highest plume height, more eruptive volume. It's the most, it's 1. More emissions, as I said, more, and they travel long distance, okay? This is a conclusion you may or may not be able to draw it on your own, but it's a conclusion that's easily reachable. When you have the highest height, of course, wind is going to carry it, okay, and makes it travel longer distance. But if you can't come to a conclusion to this part, it's okay, you don't have to write it. Just make sure to write at least 3 points like this, okay? Always try to go point extra than the marks written. Okay, this question is easy. They're talking about the volcanic eruption index, okay? And they're asking for the kilo one. How do you know this? By these numbers, okay? Because I don't know if I'm spelling it right, like pronouncing it right, but that kilo whatever, okay, got the least, okay, got the point? So it's 0. The table shows information about two earthquakes, A and B. Earthquake A is 2 Richter magnitude and B is 4. So as you can see, your conclusion here, it's talking about the magnitude. The question is asking, explain how the magnitude of A compares to magnitude of B. This explain means describe, okay? Like merely describe, but you will have to explain. Let me tell you the difference. You got the word describe, okay, and compare. Now, when you see these two terminologies, you have to describe by explaining what you're saying. So it's something you can see, okay? But when they say explain and suggest, mainly, okay, then you have to explain or describe what you're seeing and use your information. Okay. This question is talking about comparison, and you're gonna say that B has the greatest magnitude or greater magnitude than A, and why is that? What's like, what are you gonna do? Okay, like, what did you gain from this information? You're gonna say that has higher level danger or more risk. Okay, literally that's what it says. And you're going to say how much it's greater than. You could say it's double, but double is not like the best terminology to use here because you don't know what Richter magnitude scaling is. So you can say that it's 2 times more Richter magnitude or 100 times greater magnitude. Each level is 10 times increase in the magnitude. This is kinda I don't think anyone would think about it that way, so you can just stick to doubling it. Okay. The following question is talking or showing us the map of that volcano. Okay, so they're saying suggest why people in Pasto, this area, are worried about the volcano. Any ashes that's gonna come from the volcanoes are BK. I'm gonna be carried this way to Pasto, okay? So they're also fairly close, so the distance is not huge, so little distance. People live close to the volcano, therefore might not have enough time to evacuate. The ashes will make them ill by respiratory problems or deaths, and they're gonna damage their infrastructure because I said this was your key. Any volcanic eruptions are associated with earthquakes. So an earthquake, like, it can cause damage and severe damages, okay? So you can use this point in your answer by saying it's gonna damage the infrastructure from earthquakes or whatever, okay? Volcanic eruptions can cause acid rain. Describe acid rain formation. Sulfur dioxide and nitrogen oxides, like I said, and they come from fossil fuels, okay? They react with water in the atmosphere, okay? When they react with water in the atmosphere, they form sulfuric and nitric acid, making the soil in water more acidic, okay? How do they fall? They fall by precipitation. Precipitation could be rain or snow or whatever, okay? This makes the water in soil more acidic, therefore increasing the acidity or decreasing the pH, okay? And when the pH of soil is changed, this affects the minerals and the nutrients content in the soil, okay? So the plants aren't really efficiently using the minerals anymore, okay? Killing the organisms. Okay, suggest why many farmers grow crops near volcanoes that can erupt. Lands around volcanoes are very fertile, okay? Let's talk about this part. How can the country use the soil or the land around volcanoes? First of all, fertile soil. So it's perfect for farming and growing crops, okay? And this is the answer of this question. Secondly, they grow, beside the growing, they can find rocks in there, like precious rocks, like diamonds. That's very abundant there. due to the lava and the rocks in there. Anyways, the rocks, precious rocks, tourism, okay? And tourism happens because people get excited on seeing the site of volcanic site or whatever. And this tourism is gonna cause job opportunities to people as their tourist guides, okay? So that's another advantage. Selling those rocks and tourism is gonna improve the economy, therefore improving the infrastructure and living standards of local people. Also, people living there or any houses in the areas are gonna be so cheap because they are at higher risk of any volcanic eruptions, okay? But still, the living there is cheap. So, yeah. What else? I can't think of any more points, but there are plenty. So, yeah. And that was it. You can revise this topic after watching the video. More economically developed countries use strategies to manage the impact of earthquakes. Now, explain these strategies. First things first, planning, monitoring, and education. These should come together, okay? Planning regulations. Education is very important point. I don't know if I wrote it in here. I don't think I wrote it, but education on how to evacuate. Preparation, like drills, warning system, safe evacuation, okay, and prevents panic, kind of education point. Buildings that are resistant to earthquakes, disaster preparation, medical aid, food aid. Also, they should manage international aid. Okay, they should be prepared. So preparation and planning. These are the main things. And definitely education, guys. Don't forget to write education. Next question is talking about the typhoon. And this should be your answer in such question, okay? When they ask you about typhoon or cyclone, you should write this. You should write that the ocean should be between 5 and 10 degrees north to south of equator. The water should be 27 degrees Celsius and should be 60 meters deep, okay? The graph shows data about typhoons near Japan. The shaded one, like the striped one, it's the total number formed, okay, for here. And the gray shaded part, it's the number reaching land, okay? Now, say the month when typhoons are most likely to form. They're most likely to form in August. Why? Because that's the total number formed, okay? That's the highest number. State between which months typhoon reached the land. Now, you can't say August, okay? You cannot say this. You're gonna take the highest point to... Oh, sorry. We're talking about this part, okay? We're talking about this. It took me a second there, okay. The number reaching land, we're gonna start from this point, like the first bar you see that's shaded, to the last one. So it's from June to October. Now this question is a homework. Try sending it or like reply to this question in the comments on how you find it was 17%, okay? Or send it on Telegram. You're gonna find the group in the description. The diagram shows the change in the surface water temperature in the Pacific Ocean, normal year and in Niño year. So let's talk about what normally happens and what in Niño happens. Let's take a look at the pictures first. The dotted arrow shows the cold current and this large arrow shows warm water. So normally what happens is that water or air from east goes west, okay? That's normally. So winds happen, and what happens is that cold water circulates here around Peru, okay? Upwelling happens. That makes it, upwelling is when water around or above the seabed, okay, goes to the water surface, goes top, okay? And the warm water from the top goes in the bottom. Now, this is warm, and this is cold. Why do we need water to be cold? Now, cold water has high oxygen levels, has high nutrients. Now, let's think loudly. High nutrients means the phytoplankton, the small tiny organisms, okay, that can photosynthesize, they're going to use that, okay? So they're going to the surface. They have plenty of oxygen used in their photosynthesis. They got sunlight, okay? So they're going to use it in photosynthesis, and they got the nutrients, okay? They're going to be plenty over here, phytoplanktons, or the planktons. They're going to be plenty there around Peru. So what's going to happen? The tiny fish are going to come here, okay? They're going to come and feed on the phytoplankton. This is going to cause a lot of fish in the area and more fisheries happen, okay? Now, that was the normal, okay? That's the normal I said. Now, what happens now is Peru. It's the Niño Southern Oscillations at Peru, okay? What happens here? There is change in prevailing winds, okay? Change in prevailing winds, instead of winds going from east to west, okay? It goes from west to east, making the water here warmer. So no more phytoplankton, no more fishes, no more fisheries, and that's going to affect the economy, okay? That was the long story short. Now, suggest how any new year affects the number of typhoons expected to reach Japan. You're going to say there are fewer typhoons, okay? Because the sea is not as hot, all right? The water should be at least 27 degrees Celsius, but during El Niño, that's not going to happen. This is Japan, okay? And I'm saying all the warm water is going there. Everything warm is going towards Peru. Okay, it should be the opposite. It should be going to Japan. But since that's not the case, so Japan's water is not going to be 27 degrees Celsius. It's going to be colder. So fewer typhoons, because we said it needs 27 degrees Celsius at least. The water is not as hot, so it's not enough to form a typhoon. All right? Okay, so just one impact, the Niño on the people living in Peru. They're going to be fewer fish, and I explained the reason behind that. And also going to have heavy rainfall because more water evaporate from water, and that's going to cause more rainfalls. I hope in Niño Southern Oscillations are easier now. This question is also a homework for you to answer in the comments or in Telegram. They want the area of this corridor. Okay? Try to solve it. Suggest why an international agreement was needed to set up a corridor shown in the map, because it's connecting two parts together, or they're connecting two different countries. So you need the agreement for both countries and the surrounding countries too. Okay? A reforestation program. Okay, what's the difference between reforestation and afforestation? Means we're doing it again. Okay, we're repeating something. But afforestation, we're doing it for the first time. Okay? So a reforestation program, meaning that the area was already, reforestation means the area was already or had forests before, or like trees, and they logged it, and they're gonna reforest it again. So they're gonna replant more vegetation, okay? Reforestation program began in 2000 when the corridor was created. Local people were employed to plant trees. Local people have seen an increase in tigers in the corridor. There has also been an increase in the tiger population in both reserves. Explain the benefits to tigers of connecting the two ecological reserves. They are not going to be in competition, okay? So they have access to prey and water. They are free to move wherever they want. Sorry, this is a spelling mistake. Finding mates to reproduce. Reduce the number of extinction or the chances of extinction. No predation or less likely predation to happen. Okay, they got another place to go, reduce disturbance by humans, and also they have another habitat in case of any natural disasters and wildlife. Also, this is gonna increase biodiversity. Okay. Ecotourists visit the reserve to see the tigers. The ecotourists stay in houses in village. What is ecotourism? Ecotourism is when the people are like living or interacting with the environment they go to. Okay, like in this case, they are kind of living among the tigers. Okay, not exactly, but like they're nearby. So if they sat in their homes or something, they might see tigers at distance. Okay, this is the point. So what they're saying is, what type of ecotourism is this? Like, why are they living in the villages with the villagers? Tourists have to live in the same places as local people. Why is this sustainable? No hotels are going to be built, no accommodation is going to be built, so less environment damage or no habitat destruction, okay? And it's going to be used in small scale. You don't have to build large hotels, you don't have to be too fancy. Local people can make money, okay? Like they might rent their homes so they can make money. They can go for a long time, okay? What can go? It's the it's the corridor. They're talking about the corridor and the area, the environment. So it can go on for future generations and still do it. I think this is our last question. Oh, yes it is. Okay. The table shows 10 countries with the most nuclear reactors and power stations in 2022. State the number of countries that have more than 30 nuclear reactors. There are 4 countries, okay? 4 countries got more than 30. Okay? We got this one, we got this one, we got this one, and we got this one. 4 countries. State the fuel used in nuclear reactor power station. That's uranium. Suggest why nuclear power is non-renewable, because it's finite, like we are going to run out of it at some point. State 2 other non-renewable resources: coal, oil, natural gas. Suggest 2 reasons why many countries do not have nuclear power stations. Lack of expertise, expensive, okay? There are other cheaper non-renewable resources. They got other energy resources they can depend on, okay? Other available energies. Public opinion about their toxic wastes. Lack of suitable location. And also lack of access to nuclear materials, which is uranium in this case. Okay, the diagram shows a nuclear power station generating electricity. Describe how this power station generates electricity. You're gonna say, first thing, uranium gives off heat. Okay, this heat warms up the water or boils it. This boiled water turns into steam, and the steam goes and rotates the turbine. And when the turbine rotates, it generates electricity. The water goes off to the cooling tower, where it condenses from steam to water, so the water could be recycled and reused again. The last question we're talking about here is the 6th marked question, and sometimes 7 to 8 marks. Okay? How do we use this question, or how do we solve this question? Start off by saying your opinion. When they ask you, do you agree? You say, yes, you agree, and then talk about the advantages, okay, of why you're supporting the answer or the comment, and write no, you don't, and write disadvantages, okay? But I prefer to say, yes, I partially agree, and then you talk about why you agree, and then say however, and this is your disagree. So this is your agree, and it should be about 3 to 4 points, and write your disagree, and that should also be 3 to 4 points. Okay? Okay. Now let's see what the question is saying. They're saying building more nuclear power station is the best way for reducing the carbon dioxide emissions. You have to agree, okay? You have to agree. If you did not agree with them and said just disagree, you're not gonna get the 6 marks. Okay, you're gonna lose marks. So you have to talk about both sides of the story. Yeah, you agree because they do not produce carbon dioxide. And you know that carbon dioxide is a greenhouse gas, right? It's a greenhouse gas. So an increased level of greenhouse gas can cause global warming. We spoke about this. Fuel does not contain carbon. Not a fossil fuel, okay? Not weather dependent. You can use it any time. Not like a solar system or winds or whatever. Established technology. Energy dense fuel, and it's supplied, the energy supply could be for 24/7, like all the time. It's available all the time. Now you disagree because uranium is non-renewable, it's finite. Limited number of safe sites for nuclear power plants to be grown, okay, like to be built, sorry. It's gonna cause disruption to local people, like if you can't find a site and that site contained some like buildings there or villagers or the areas like rurally, okay, rural, like it's countryside or something, then you're gonna cause disturbance to the people will have to relocate, okay. You're gonna talk about health issues. What do you mean health issues? Because radiation leaks, okay, and that can cause cancer. They're gonna leave large supply of water. We spoke about it in the previous question. Waste disposal is a problem. They got like long half-life, okay? Change to electric cars rather than oil will give bigger reduction. Other sources are easier and quicker to build. They can depend on renewable energy sources because they also do not produce carbon dioxide and they're safer than uranium. And other alternative renewable energy sources could be betterly used, okay? We're done with this paper, but I would like to revise some other things with you. Okay, let's start off by bar charts. So first things we're talking about bar chart, okay? First, it should look like this, okay? You got your y-axis, you got your x-axis, you got whatever is here, okay? And here is like 0, 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, okay? You got your bar, okay, at equal distances. Here, okay? And they might ask you for a key. If we're talking about births, for instance, you can say birth is like that. And death. Okay, death is blank, so you can do it like this. Okay, now let me explain. First thing you have to label the axis. Use linear scaling. Okay, this is linear scaling by going 0, 2, 4, 6, okay, or start by 5, 10, 15, 20, okay. Just make sure that it's constant and it's linear. Like what you don't have to do or you shouldn't do is you cannot start by 0, okay, go to 50, okay, you're increasing by 50 here, and jump to 150, you increase by 100, and jump by 150. We don't do this, okay? It should be linear. If you're going by 50, then you should go by 50 overall, okay? If you're going and starting by 100, then you should continue going by 100, okay? Okay, so linear scale to your key. It's very important, this key, like this case, okay? Your key, and then 3 plotter bars. Your bars should be equal width and it should have equal spaces, okay? And lastly, plot the bars right, okay? That was for the bar chart. Now, next we're gonna talk about the line graph. No, before that, let's talk about histograms. Histograms, you're gonna do exactly the same as 1, 2, and 4. Okay, 1, 2, and 4, they're gonna be the same as bar chart. But the bars are gonna be, bars are sticked together. You got it here. You got your axis labeled, okay? And your bars are like this. Okay? Should be equal widths. Okay? Now let me say something here. You can start here. You can leave a space, okay? Which is better to leave a space, like it's safer to leave space, or you can directly connect your bars. Whichever you want, it's okay, but it's safer to leave a space. Histograms are the same. You can either leave a space or directly connect it to the axis. Okay, that was histograms. Next, we're talking about line graph. Okay, your line graph should be point to point, always. Okay, unless the question asks otherwise. If the question asks best fit, then you only do it best fit. Okay, what do we do here? Again, we label the axis. We find linear scale. Okay, linear scale, okay? And then you connect your dots. You connect by crosses. Okay, like you plot by crosses, plot crosses, or pinpoints. I like to call them pinpoints. And they are like this, a circle inside a dot. Okay, but crosses are better. And how you connect point to point? You take this point from the cross and connect it to the other cross, and then the cross again like this and like this. Okay, best fit. If they ask you for best fit, it's gonna be something like this. Okay, where you connect it as best as you can. This is your best fit. Okay. Okay, then what else do we got? We got the pie chart. That was 4. Pie charts. This is very important and pay close attention because a lot of students make mistakes in this, and it's very easy, so pay attention. First thing, here's your circle, right? You should have key. So key is a must in the pie charts. So first thing, key, okay? Second thing, label your axis. Okay, label your axis. It starts from 0. It goes 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, and blah, blah, blah. Okay, label your axis. 3, start from 0. In the mark scheme, they call it afternoon. Afternoon, like it's like this, okay? You start from here. Then you start labeling or like start plotting. Follow your key. Okay? And you got a table, okay? They gave you here a table. This table has several data, as you know. You're gonna plot your key based on the table. Well done. You did your key. Okay? Now you got data here. And you got it from big to small. Big to small, okay? This is the biggest, this is the smallest. How you're gonna plot it? You're gonna plot from big to small. Okay? I like to call it BTS. It's easier to remember it that way, okay? So you go BTS, from big to small. After you're done, okay, you follow your key. let's say you started like this, then it goes like this, then it goes empty, then it goes dotted, then you do stars, you do hearts, you do whatever you want to do, just make it distinctive, okay? How are you going to know when to plot? You're gonna take, like, for instance, if I started the first one to be 15, okay, and the second one is gonna be like 32, and then 2, and then 6. These are your data, okay? What you're gonna do is you're gonna start by 15 here. Well done. And then to find the other place or the other point where you're gonna plot, you're gonna add 15 to 32. Okay? That's gonna give you 47 probably, right? Yeah, that's gonna give you 47. So you're going at 47 over here. Okay? And you're going to plot this. So it goes 47. And then the 47, you're going to add 2. And it goes into 49. So your next one is going to be 49. Okay? Like here, over here, 49. And this is how you go on with your pie chart. Okay? The most important thing is to label your axis, label your axis, label your axis. Then make your key and linear scaling. Okay? Very, very important. That was it. Okay? Also, make sure you know your mathematics. You have to know what's mode, what's mean, what's range, what's what. Yeah, mainly these, okay? You have to know the percentage difference. Okay, and that goes by big number minus small, or old minus new over old multiplied by 100. You have to know basic mathematical things like addition, how to add and subtract. Also, pay attention to the mathematical questions or the calculations in the paper. In the question, make sure you spot right. They always write this part. Right into sig figs, okay? Or into decimal places. Okay, they can write any number. Okay, I'm just giving you an example. Make sure you stick to this. If they said 2 significant figures, then write only 2 significant figures. If they said 2 decimal places, then only write 2 decimal places. Okay? Follow exactly what the question is asking you. And if they said write 2 reasons why this happened, only write 2 reasons. Don't write 3 because you just want to be extra sure. No, don't risk your mark. Okay? What else do I need to say? I probably said everything now. Best wishes, everyone. Check out the Telegram group. If you have any questions, send it on the Telegram group or just contact me privately. It's okay. Or just write it in the comments. I wish you best of luck and I love you all.